All right, Dr. Atlas, talk to me about the scientific justification for, I guess, restarting these lockdowns in so many states. It's mind-boggling to me.
Yes, well, you hit on the first key problem with the whole policy, which was that there was never any contemplation of the impact of the policy itself. But right now we're having a different problem. We have a lot of fear and a lot of reaction to something that is really a sort of a distortion of the information. We see more cases. That's true. We see more cases because with more social relaxation, we're going to have more cases. We see more cases, as you mentioned, because with more testing, we'll have more cases. But cases, stopping all cases was never and should never be the policy. The cases are, as you mentioned, overwhelmingly in younger people. The median age is in the 30s, whereas it used to be 20, 25 years higher. We have learned how to protect the older people. We do not have increasing deaths. In fact, they continue to decrease. We do not have increasing translation into super sick people from these cases, even when they're hospitalized. As you noted, the hospitalizations are milder. Perhaps we're getting better at treating the disease, but the length of stay is 1/2 what it used to be. The risk of dying is about 1/4 what it used to be. And we see that a lot of the hospitalization numbers, as you mentioned, are hospitalizations with COVID rather than from COVID. About 20 or 30% of patients who are hospitalized now, that's what's been told to me from some of these states, have been hospitalized for something else, having a baby, having appendicitis, having a kidney stone, some other procedure. They're all tested. And when they're tested positive, they're recategorized as COVID-19 hospitalizations. That's point number one about the hospitalizations. Point number two is that, as you mentioned, okay, the hospitals some of them are somewhat crowded, which of course they're normally in Texas around 90% ICU occupancy. But if you look at the occupied beds, 15 to 20% of the occupied ICU beds are COVID patients. 80% roughly, 85% are non-COVID patients. The hospitals are getting crowded not because of COVID, but because there's now finally the ability to administer medical care, which was not available in the past. So we have a second wave. The second wave is actually regular medical care filling the hospitals. But the idea that this is some kind of panic situation where we have a bunch of younger, low-risk people getting the infection, we know it's not impactful because we are not seeing translation into death, at least not yet. We're cautiously watching it because we have to make sure of this, and it does take some time. But these cases have been increasing for 3-4 weeks now. In fact, they do not date to relaxing social policy of businesses and restaurants. They date to the demonstrations and the protests.